What came as a surprise to many NBA fans, and I'm sure the Houston Rockets fan base as well, when Kevin McHale was fired earlier this week after the Rockets went on a consecutive three-game losing streak, maybe four. Their defense ranks towards the bottom five in the league. James Harden is not so much struggling putting up the points, but he's definitely not as efficient as he was last year from the field. His defensive improvements he made last season have almost disappeared in the 2015-2016 season start. A lot to discuss with the Houston Rockets. We know Kevin McHale has been offered to team up with Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics. We know the beginning of the JB Bickerstaff era with the Houston Rockets, a great opportunity for the young coach there. Joined again, of course, by Andre Snellings from RotoWire.com. Andre, man, let's start with James Harden. Let's start with the beard, because last year, a arguable MVP, if not top three in the league, finishing that way. He takes the Rockets almost single-handedly with a beaten-up Dwight Howard to the Western Conference Finals. What went wrong between now and from then and now? Because the Rockets don't look anything like the Rockets did last season, and we know that there's a lot of basketball left to be played. When are we going to see that spark be turned on?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's interesting to see such a drastic change made so early with the coach being fired. He had just gone to the Western Conference Finals like 4 months ago. And, I mean, yeah, they're off to a bad start, but it's only been 11 games?
Right,
so
right, they're 4-7.
It's interesting. I will agree the team does look very different as far as effort and execution this year than they looked last year. And that's something that's generally blamed on the coach. For Harden in particular, he always had a reputation as not being a very good defender up until last year. And it seemed like last year, maybe he came into the season with that on his mind. Like, okay, I'm going to show people I can be this two-way guard. I can play defense like a Dwayne Wade. Not going to be a killer lockdown, but enough to be effective, use my athletic ability to be effective.
To be an efficient and respectable defender in the NBA, which goes a long way for guys who have, like, the Carmelo Anthonys of the world who don't play enough defense. The improvement that you saw, set the internet on fire, because there was, if you remember last year, about 30 games into the season, somebody released a mixtape of, holy shit, James Harden's playing defense. And the world reacted as if Michael Jordan was going to return to the league. Like, this is absurd. He can't be doing this. But it was true. And Zach Lowe commented on it from Grantland, and Bill Simmons would talk about it. But we haven't seen that return yet. And I don't think that's even close to the major problem with the Rockets defense, because this isn't solely a James Harden isn't playing defense problem. This is a team that ranks 26th in defensive efficiency. And again, banged up Dwight Howard, Corey Brewer struggling on the defensive end, Trevor Ariza struggling on the defensive end. A lot of these guys are not clicking. And I wonder, because the more I read about Kevin McHale, the more it seemed like there was a major management disconnect with what they wanted the game plan to be. We know the Rockets management wants to win now, this year, like immediately. And my feeling was Kevin McHale was looking to not rebuild, but do a pseudo year-long, maybe even quicker, 8-month, like, let's build and get to the back to the playoffs, but let's make a run next year.
Yeah, I think, McHale's firing, I think, came more from that disconnect between he and management necessarily than the product that was on the court.
Right.
I mean, yeah, maybe if he was 10-1, even if he was disagreeing with management, they would have sat on it longer. But
can you imagine if they were 10-1 and they're like, yeah, we're going to still fire Kevin McHale?
Yeah, that'd have been a hard sell. But yeah, I feel like, so this is me speaking, and maybe this is me projecting what I think maybe McHale might have been seeing. The Rockets made the Western Conference Finals last year. I don't think they were necessarily the second best team in the West. I think it worked out to their advantage. I thought they were going to get beat by the Clippers. I don't know what happened those last couple games. To their credit, they stepped up and took it when the Clippers left it out there. But I don't think if you played that series 5 times that the Rockets win more than once or twice, And they didn't, the Spurs are another that, I think could handle them. And then most importantly, Golden State handled them relatively easily. And so if I'm Kevin McHale and I'm looking at the team that we had last year and the approach that we had last year, it almost kind of felt like they had maximized, like, this is the best that we could do with this crew. Now, I know Dwight Howard was, hurting. They say he was playing on one knee and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But he's at the point in the career you have to wonder if maybe he is the best that he's going to be. And you have to at least take that into account. You can't depend on getting Orlando Magic Dwight Howard at this point. So if you look at that and you say, well, you know what? We did the absolute max we could do last year, and we came up pretty well short, and we didn't significantly improve in the offseason. Maybe you have to try it a different way. And maybe that's what McHale was doing, and maybe management didn't agree. That's a lot of maybes in one sentence, but a Western Conference finalist coach getting fired after 11 games is pretty unprecedented. So
right.
I don't know that there's a lot more that we can take away from that.
Right. I agree with you on that one. Again, I like JB Bickerstaff. Everything I've read so far in terms of him, how he works with these guys one-on-one in practice, we know he's well liked by the players. And look, team chemistry is a very important thing. The Warriors have an unbelievable coach and maybe the greatest assistant coach in the history of the NBA or any sport because he's 13-0. That would be Luke Walton. And we know the chemistry of that team. And when you see the chemistry start to click, it makes, and I would say the same about Greg Popovich and the Spurs. The team is always connected. They're one unit. And the Rockets, on the other hand, maybe Bickerstaff, again, great opportunity for him to see if he can do something and maybe maximize the potential out of what they have to at least make a run in the playoffs. I'd be very surprised if the Rockets don't make the playoffs considering what they have, even though the West is that difficult. But
they've got the talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. And again, James Harden, it's a small sample size. We're talking 12 games. He's not going to finish shooting 36% from the floor. That's just not James Harden. He's too lethal of a step-back player. He's too good of a scorer to shoot that poorly from the field. I think that will change. I wonder if the defensive inefficiencies change as a team altogether. We'll see what happens as the season goes on. But as for Jason Rubin here and Coach Andre Snellings of the Houston Rockets, make sure to follow him on Twitter at Professor DRZ and myself at JasonRubin91. What's going on in Houston? Houston, we have a problem. I had to say it. Comment below with what you think about James Harden, Kevin McHale, and JB Bickerstaff. And we'll see you next time.